The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And to find out about the programming we have available for you, as well as new programming we have starting shortly, www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour is a good friend of the X Zone. I've had the pleasure of having Chrissie Blaze on the show many times over the past 28 years. And as you might imagine, she is a very regular media guest, international speaker, metaphysician, and author of more than 12 books. She was a direct disciple of spiritual master, founder of the Aetherius Society and the Extraterrestrial Contactee, Dr. George King, for over 20 years until his passing in 1997. Chrissie continues to promote his work, teachings, and missions. Two websites for Chrissie, www.chrissieblaze.com, that's ChrissieBlaze.com, and www.astrologycity.com. Joining me now is Chrissie Blaze. And Chrissie, welcome back to the X Zone. Always so great having you with us.
Hello, Rob. So nice to be on your show again. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, Chrissie, so much is going on in the world today.
Yeah.
Some good, a lot of bad, and one heck of a lot of indifference. When we look at the world today, we see what's going on in the Middle East. We have climate control crisis. We have the possibility of nuclear threats and wars with our people in North Korea. As an astrologer, Chrissie, when you're doing charts, have these world events popped up and given you an idea of it was going to happen, it is happening, and what can do to make sure it doesn't happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the world is a crazy place at the moment,
it is,
say. But I think not just astrology, but all so the major religions and so on have called this time a time of a great change, and the Armageddon, different terms for it. But certainly in astrology, we're changing from what's called a great age, which lasts for about 2,160 years. We're coming out of the age of Pisces and going into the age of Aquarius. We're kind of on the cusp. So whenever there's a big, huge change like that, there's a change of consciousness, there's a kind of a shake-up of humanity. And as well as that, I believe the Earth herself, or we certainly believe in the Aetherius Society, is going through a change, an initiation, if you like. And so, and of course, what we're doing to the Earth and various things, so all of this is coming to a head, if you like. And it's a time when humanity, I believe, has to make a decision, whether they're going to be indifferent, as you say, many people are, or whether they're going to, do something positive to help. And I think, and it's interesting, I'm reading Lynn McTaggart's latest book, The Power of Eight, and I've only just started it, but she she is, scientifically proven, not herself, but working with scientists, that, one person or just a few people coming together and having a positive intention does have an effect. And it doesn't just affect the thing that is, maybe it's a seed or a plant that she's working with, but it affects all the seeds and plants. And this is a sort of a metaphysical truth that, if you send out your love to the world or your prayers or whatever, you think, oh, it's one person doing it. But in fact, it uplifts in some degree the entire world. So what I'm saying is that, yes, we can do something. We can do a lot, but it just depends whether people are prepared to go out of their way and do something.
Chrissie, where did your interest in astrology come from?
Well, it started when I was very young, and I was always very curious about many, many things from a young age. And my aunt was an astrologer, and I began to really study it. She showed me a chart. It was interesting, Rob, a horoscope, And I was young, maybe 14 at the time, and I'd never actually seen one before, because this was in the Dark Ages many years ago. And but funny enough, I sort of understood it. And I wondered later whether, in fact, I had seen them in past lives, because it was so familiar to me and always fascinated me, all the symbology and so forth. And so in the 80s, I went to the Faculty of Astrological Studies in London and studied it professionally, and later became a professional astrologer. And I've written 6 astrology books so far, and 6 spiritual books, and given classes and lectures and so on.
How can you explain astrology and what it is in a nutshell, Chrissie?
Well, it's very ancient, as you know, Rob. It's been around for, at least this type of astrology that we do has been around for at least 5,000 years. And probably before, if you think about, places like Stonehenge, where they were measuring, the position of the sun and the moon, and so on. But it's very ancient art. You might say an art, you might say a science. It's certainly a discipline that studies the influence of the planets on human behavior. And there are many different approaches, too, from the more fatalistic approach of, let's say Vedic astrology of the East, from India, to a more the basic Western astrology that focuses on everyday things. But the type of astrology that I've studied and practiced is called many things, either evolutionary astrology or spiritual astrology, or I like to call it karmic astrology, because it's almost like you take your birth chart and it shows a person's journey, if you like, through the lifetime. It's not just one life. It's kind of like looking at their karmic pattern. And this does include all the challenges we face, from our emotional life to our health, to our family, to our career, but looking at it from a higher sort of perspective, which enables me and people that I'm giving readings for to overcome, hopefully, their challenges in a positive way, rather than feeling a victim or feeling there's nothing they can do to change things. Because in the type of astrology I practice, it's not fatalistic. We can, I believe, through knowledge, change and transform our lives for the better. I
like your astrology.
You like that?
I do, Chrissie, and one
Have
of
you
the.
Studied I'm sorry.
No, I haven't studied astrology, my dear friend. But one of these days, maybe in the next life, I will give it a shot. But one of the things I love about you and having you on the show, there's always a positive aspect, and this is what we need. We need people in our lives to look at the glass as not being half empty on the way to total world annihilation. But we need somebody to look at the glass like you do and say, it's half full. We're working on getting it to the very top. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Rob. I know you always have a very, very positive approach to life. We can't feel that we're victims. We have to move and do everything we can in our own field. It doesn't matter if it's astrology or doing what you do, putting out the truth about things, or whatever it is we're doing, do it with our passion and everything we have. And then we will see a difference.
I've been doing the show now for 28 years, Chrissie, and from the very first show, I've been telling our listeners, that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So let's get rid of the problem side and work on the global solution. And I'm seeing this happen around the world. Last night, one of our talk show hosts, Larry Lawson, had Dr. Albert Taylor on, as well as Richard Sennett. They were talking about paranormal and how to proceed in a positive manner in investigating the paranormal using scientific methods and a standardization form so that we can all work together on the same mystery, the same challenges. And I'm seeing this in other aspects of life too, and it seems to me that the light is finally coming on.
Yeah, oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, thank you. And well done, Rob, for 28 years. That's fantastic. It really is fantastic. Yeah. And another 28 at least, I hope. Because we need you.
Well, we need people like you, Chrissie, for the great work you're doing. And Chrissie, we've got to go to our commercial break. But when we come back, I'd like to talk to you about your latest book, Earth, Astrology's Missing Planet.
Great.
All right, Exonation, Chrissie Blaze is our special guest. And as I said, I've had the pleasure of having Chrissie on the show over the past years many times. She's always a welcome guest and a good friend of the X-Zone. 2 websites, www.astrologycity.com. And for more information on the Aetherius Society, and we're going to talk to Chrissie about the Aetherius Society as well later on, www.aetherius.org, and that's AETHERIUS.org. Chrissie Blaze is my guest this hour, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Gwilda Wiyaka's latest book, The Science of Magic, Book of Mysteries, Volume 1, is the first book in a series based on her writings that open every episode of the Science of Magic radio show. Drawing on the subject matter of each guest, and armed with over 40 years' experience in shamanism, 35 years in alternative health, and degrees in psychology and religious studies, Gwilda introduces relevant and leading-edge information that supports spiritual evolution and personal empowerment. Rich with wisdom and inspirational quotes packaged in digestible segments, this is a book that will pull you from cover to cover. It will also serve as a daily inspirational reading for years to come. The Science of Magic Book of Mysteries, Volume 1 is available at our website, tsompublications.com, amazon.com, and wherever fine books are sold. Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the 2 top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X-Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X-Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. www.xzbn.net is the website to find out all about the programming we have available for you on the X Zone Broadcast Network, 24/7, 365, with our compliments. Also, X Zone Nation, Friday, February the 2nd, is the release date of the latest edition of the X Chronicles newspaper. I promise you that the articles that we have in this month's issue are going to shake the very foundations of some of the pseudoscience topics that we cover here on the X Zone. Chrissie Blaze is my guest, www.astrologycity.com and Aetherius.org. And Chrissie, before we went to the break, we gave a bit of a teaser about your latest book, Earth, Astrology's Missing Planet. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the book is my 12th book, and it's about to be published this month, actually, on the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And I'm launching it on the 16th, a little before that. But, people will tell you that, astrologers will tell you, and everybody will admit that in astrology we look at the influence of all the planets in the solar system, but we don't look at the influence of the planet we're closest to, on which we live and breathe and have our being, the Mother Earth. And this is a big mystery. And in fact, when I take classes, and some people are completely new to astrology, I always say to them this concept of let's begin to take into account the Earth, and people just get it, Of course we should, And actually what got me going was when I was 4, my grandmother left me the collection of Alice Bailey books. Do you know her books?
Vaguely, dear.
They were channeled by the master called Dwal Kul, a member of the spiritual hierarchy, and one of the books called Esoteric Astrology. And over the years, I've read it, don't really understand it, it's very complex, but one thing that he did say, he made a prediction that there would come a day when astrologers would have to take into account the influence of the planet upon which we live, the Earth. And just a couple of years ago, it just struck a chord, and I thought, well, nobody's really doing it, so let's give it a go, And it seemed like the right time. And also my own spiritual teacher, Dr. George King, always taught that the Earth is a very advanced, living, breathing intelligence. And he actually devised a global mission, which we still conduct today in the Aetherius Society, called Operation Sunbeam, where great sort of spiritual energies are sent to the Earth as a sort of karmic repayment, like a thank you, if you like, on behalf of humanity, like a big karmic manipulation. And so this consciousness about the Earth has kind of been with me for many years, and I thought, well, this might be the time to do this, because I think this could be very, very helpful to people. So the book is based on that. It's not just telling people what their Earth sign, what it is and what it means, but it's trying to get people to be more conscious of their connection to this planet.
But including the Earth in the astrological chart, does that change the reading that the person would be getting, or the chart the person would be getting without the planet Earth in it?
Yes, it does. It adds another layer. I always say that the sun, if you like, is the center of our solar system, as you know, and it's the center of a horoscope. It's the most important planet. It's almost like the director of a play, and the other planets are like players on the stage, and they all have their different energies, and they have their different roles in the play, and we can, if more conscious we become of what they mean and what energies they have, the more we can use them and use our own potential to the fullest. And then Earth is coming along, and Earth, interestingly, is always exactly opposite the sun in your chart. So say, for example, what is your sun sign? Do you want to share that?
Sure, Taurus.
You're a Taurus.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. You're coming into a very interesting time, actually. Taurus is actually the natural ruler of the Earth, very, very related to the Earth, but the opposite sign, where the Earth is in your chart, will be Scorpio. And so in my book, I will explain what that means and how you can draw on that added layer, if you like, to bring even more of your potential to light. Now, people who are very aware, as you are, Rob, will probably already automatically be using that power, because it's like, I say, it's almost like the in a very simple way, the sun is your creativity, it's your vitality, it's your soul expression, but the earth is like putting that creativity and that expression to work in practical ways, bringing it into manifestation. It's your dharma, if you like, and I explain all that as well in the book.
That's truly fascinating, Chrissie. Let me ask you this: as an astrologer and as somebody who is in tune with the surroundings, not only here on this planet but out in the universe, why do you think it is that the planet Earth was not part of the original astrological charting system?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think it's because for many, many years, part of the original, well, that I can't really say. I mean, it's very strange if you think about it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that it hasn't been, and in the beginning, not all the planets were actually, outer planets were discovered later on. The outer planets being Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, they were discovered later. So originally they weren't included either. So why the Earth wasn't included, I don't know. But why it's not today, I think it's because my theory is, and I expound in the book, that since really the sort of revolution towards more materialistic science and so forth with Newton and the Industrial Revolution, we've become more and more disconnected to the Earth and regarded her, whereas in the past, especially indigenous cultures and also, in the past generally, we had much more of a connection with the Earth. And in fact, churches were built on ley lines and so forth. And but now, since that time, the last few hundred years, we've become very, very disconnected, so much so that we tend to, and I'm talking about the majority here, regard the Earth as a resource for us to use. But if you think about it more deeply, you realize that without the Earth, we wouldn't exist in the way we do. So, in other words, she must be greater than us. It's logical, really. And so now I think is the time for us to reconnect, because we really have no other hope, because the way we're, taking all the resources and all the changes, I think a big hope for us is to have this reconnection, to have this consciousness, this awareness of this living intelligence.
Chrissie, would you agree with those who say that we're in the time of awakening?
Yes, definitely we are. We're definitely in a time of awakening. And you can see it, can't you, Rob? I'm sure you do more than most. And I think it's interesting what you said earlier, how you say to people, was it you're either part of the...
If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, and I think this awakening is, what it's doing is, people are either going to have to change, it's almost change or leave, because, you have to make your decision now. People have got to wake up. Yeah. And it is a time of awakening. And I think when people do wake up to the things that really matter, such as many of the things on your show, in my mind, then there will be this awakening. And there's a higher flow going on that you can sort of tune into. And then your life can become really exciting, and you're on this higher journey, rather than just the sort of everyday confusion and the chaos that exists on the basic realm,
Yeah. Most people know their sun sign because it's in all the newspapers, and this is one thing that guys used to learn in a bar when you go up to a girl and say, "Hi, I'm Taurus. What's your sign?" But all kidding aside, right now, February the 1st, the sun is in Aquarius.
Aquarius, yeah.
How do people find out what their Earth sign is?
Yeah, it's very simple, actually. The Earth is always located exactly opposite the sun.
Right.
In your horoscope, your natal chart. And so it's simple to find. If you know you're a Taurus, I don't know whether you know the degree of your, you're maybe born at 15 degrees of Taurus or 28 degrees of Taurus or not. But
no, I don't know that, Drew.
Say, for example, you were born, what day were you born?
27.
You don't have to tell. 27th of April.
Yeah.
Right. So you were born probably about 10, 12 degrees. So say it's 12 degrees.
I can give you the time if that'll help.
No, I don't
Oh, okay.
really need that. So I'm not doing an exact thing.
Oh, all right.
But the Earth, say for example, it was 12 degrees in Taurus, then the Earth would be 12 degrees of the opposite sign of Scorpio. My Sun is 27 degrees of Aries, so mine will be, my Earth sign is 27 degrees Libra. So that's how you...
So my Earth sign is Scorpio.
It is.
Great.
Yes, it is.
Oh, cool. You and I have to...
Send you my...
Pardon?
I'll send you my book, and then you can read about it.
Oh, I would love that. Do me a favor. If you would be so kind to autograph it, I would love to put it in our corporate library.
Oh, yes, my pleasure.
Okay, I'll send you my address later on. And Chrissie, you and I have to take the news at the bottom of the hour. Chrissie Blaze is my guest, X-Zone Nation. My name is Rob McConnell. I'm a Taurus, and my Earth sign is Scorpio. There you go. Chrissie Blaze, www.astrologycity.com. And for the Aetherius Society, visit their website at www.aetherius.org. Tomorrow, February the 2nd, Friday, the X Chronicles newspaper is released, and it will be available at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. 92 pages large. It's available digital download. And once you have the digital download, you can print it out, you can share it, spread the word, because, like I say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com.
That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back, everyone. As soon as I hear this bumper, just put this thought in your mind. You know the giant heads on Easter Island? Can you just hear them mouthing and swaying to and fro to this? I don't know. Geez, I just had to share that with you. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah,
it makes me chuckle.
That's a fun visualization. I definitely can see that.
Man, imagine how many aspirins those heads would have to take if they had a headache. Woohoo! Geez. You know, life is great. It really is. You know, you're here for a good time, not for a long time, so why not make the very best of it, right, guys? And Chrissie Blaze is with us because Chrissie is one of the most positive people in the world that I've had the pleasure of meeting doing this show, and her website is astrologycity.com. And Chrissie belongs to a great organization called the Aetherius Society. Their website is aetherius.org. And Chrissie, tell our listeners about the Aetherius Society since we've been talking about them.
Oh, yeah, it's a terrific organization. It was founded in England in 1955 and then founded by Dr. George King, who is a realized yoga master and also a medium of great renown. And he came to America, the U.S., in 1960, and it was incorporated in 1960 in the U.S. And the headquarters in the U.S. is in Los Angeles. And there's a very active branch, been there since 1960 in Michigan, Metro Detroit, where I am now. And basically it's a spiritual brotherhood, it's a metaphysical organization, but what I like about it, because I always have been involved with spiritual groups and so forth, what I like about the Aetherius Society is it's very active. It's very much concerned with healing, not only on a personal, individual level, but also on a global level. And Dr. King, as well as being a master of yoga, was also a scientist and a pioneering scientist, a scientist in things like radionics. And he invented technology way ahead of its time, I believe, which was able to contain and store the spiritual energy, or the energy of love.
Wow.
And it can be released in times of world emergency, and there's plenty of that, as you know, at the moment, through different missions that he devised, which we're still performing today and into the future. So it's very unusual. It's sort of ahead of its time, I believe, but also of this time. The age of Aquarius, astrologers know, is the age of science and spirituality when they come together, because science without spiritual motivation, if you like, is a soulless thing. But once it's combined with this warmth of spirituality, of love, then it can, I believe, transform the world.
You know, so many people, old philosophers, new philosophers, modern philosophers, musical philosophers, all say all you need is love.
That's it, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very simple,
but it's hard. You know, it's profound as well. It really is the key.
It is.
And all the great teachers, all the great the Master Jesus, all the great avatars, say the same thing.
Something that I don't believe is said enough, Chrissie, and this is coming from my heart, is that people do not love themselves enough. Because if you can't love yourself, no one else can.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think that we are programmed in many ways to reject the idea that we should take a closer look at ourselves to see if we are the type of person that we could love who would not be us. And I think when we do this, a lot of people see their flaws, their fallacies, and look at themselves as other people do. And rather than change themselves to being that person that everyone would like to have as their friend, they don't accept the challenge. They don't accept the way to make themselves better in order to have others love them, and they live in a world of false pretense for most of their lives because they give love that, in my opinion, is superficial, because the only way you can give true love is to know true love. And if you don't if you don't have the ability to love yourself, you will never know true love.
Very interesting, yes. Yes, you're right. So many people do. They see their faults, and yet within us we have this perfection, this divine nature, if you like, this spark of the divine, which is love, which is wisdom, which is inspiration, which is peace. And so we're not looking deep enough and bringing that into manifestation. We're not shining as we all should, because everybody, once you get to really understand them, has this within them. And I want to say everybody, but most people, once you get to understand them, are really wonderful people.
I agree, but most of the people, I believe, are not up to the challenge because they've been browbeaten by society. You know, the media, you're supposed to look like this, you're supposed to think like this, you're supposed to dress like this, you're supposed to walk like this, you're supposed to talk like this. And unless a person has the tenacity, or me being a stubborn Taurus, to say, hey, no, there's got to be another way, that they just let society and, just roll them over. And, it's another type of bullying, sociological bullying.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the standards are very low in society. They're very, very low, aren't they? I mean, we live in this kind of world of falsehood, and it's all kind of accepted somehow. And we shouldn't accept it. And it drags us down if we're not careful. So, as you're right, we have to, it takes effort.
That's right.
It takes effort.
It's just like so many people, Chrissie, when they meet with a failure, whether it's in their personal life, whether it's in academia, whether it's in their professional capacity, I have always looked at a failure as being a lesson to success. Exactly.
It really is.
That's right.
And every challenge we go through, however hard, whether it's health or financial, and everybody has these, looking at it from a higher perspective, we're on a path. Everybody's on a path. And these are to be expected. As we grow, we will draw to ourselves more challenges, because then we become stronger, and then we'll get more challenges, and we'll become even stronger, and that's what it's all about. So instead of thinking, I'm a victim, and why did God do this to me, just embrace it and say, I'm a spiritual warrior. I can overcome this.
That's right.
And, thank you for the test.
I've got
however hard it is.
I've got a new book that's coming out, and in the book I wrote, as a young man questioning life and the world around me, I thought that if, according to the Bible, Genesis 1:26-28, and I quote here, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." And then in number 27 says, "So God created man in his own image.
Yes.
In the image of God created he him, male and female." And the final verse is, And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And then I said, And if I am created in the image of God, as stated in the Bible, after their likenesses, and in their image, then would it not stand to reason that I myself am God?
Exactly. Great I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. How did we get from astrology to religious philosophy? Wow. You and I...
It's all connected, isn't it? What is your book's title, Rob? I have to look out for it.
It's a very simple title called Behind the Mic.
Oh, interesting. When's it published?
It's due to be released in May.
May. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hopefully you'll send out
definitely
an email about it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. The reason I wrote it was because I've had the opportunity of meeting so many people on this job. And there have been so many different conversations that I've had, everything from talking to Neil Armstrong about his walk on the moon to religious leaders from around the world. And one of the common threads that I've seen is, number one, we all have questions. Who, what, when, where, why when it comes to religious philosophies. And the answers that we get are so scattered except for one theme. And that's the spiritual theme.
Interesting, yeah.
So these are questions I ask, and as a young boy, I was booted out of the Anglican Church at the age of 14 for asking too many questions.
Oh, you sound like me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that only invigorated my reading in the Bible and other religious books to try and understand the questions that I could not get answered by those who stand at the pulpit.
Exactly, yeah. I know. I worked in a theological college for 7 years,
and
it was fascinating. But I asked too many questions. I was just the junior secretary at the time. I was about 20, I think, and I would ask the professors. I made them tea at coffee break and coffee, and I'd ask them questions which they couldn't answer.
You're a girl after my own heart.
Exactly.
You're a girl after my own heart. Chrissie, we've got to take our final break, dear. Please stand by. Exonation. Chrissie Blaze is my guest this hour. We're talking about astrology and a lot more. Chrissie is a member of the Aetherius Society, www.aetherius.org. And for more information about Chrissie herself, the author of 12 books, her latest book is entitled Earth, Astrology's Missing Planet. Visit www.astrologycity.com. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. You're listening to us on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. www.xzbn.net is the website for the X-Zone Broadcast Network. Check it out. We'll be back. Don't go away. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
All right, Exonation, I've got to stop doing this. As soon as that bumper started playing, it reminded me of a coffee commercial. What is going on with me today? One bumper comes on, I can see the Easter Island head swaying and mouthing the song. This time here's a coffee commercial. You'd think I'm in the media the way I think sometimes. Chrissie Blaze is my guest, Exonation, www.astrologycity.com, and for the Aetherius Society, www.aetherius.org. First of all, Chrissie, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a great pleasure having you with us. Congratulations on your new book, my dear.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's great to be on your show.
Tell me, Chrissie, in your book you say the Earth is a living intelligence. Is there any evidence of this?
There is, yes. There's quite a lot of evidence, actually. You remember James Lovelock in the Gaia hypothesis. I think it was about the end of the 1970s?
Yeah.
He proposed the idea that the Earth is a single living entity. Also, going way back before then, the 18th century, I think he was known as the father of geology. His name is James Hutton, described the Earth as a type of superorganism. And then another book that springs to mind is called The Breathing Earth by John Nelson. That's a very good book. This is a fascinating book. He was able to put together a year's worth of the seasonal transformations of the Earth and what these look like from outer space. And, Rob, once these are arranged in a sequence, you can see the Earth's in and out movement as if she is breathing. And, in fact, scientists today say that the Earth, the planet they used to think it was a very slow in and out movement, like a breath, but now they're saying it's a very quick breath every few days, which was unexpected. So she's a living, breathing intelligence. And there's more as well, that she has what's called a heartbeat, otherwise called the Schumann's resonance, you've probably heard of.
Yes, but tell our audience what the Schumann resonance is.
Well, this was discovered by Professor Schumann from the University of Munich, and he discovered that the Earth produces very specific vibrations or vibrational pulsations. Mm-hmm. And then later on, together with another academic, another scientist who was to become his successor, I think his name was Dr. Koenig, confirmed that this frequency was 7.83 hertz. And years later, it was known as the Schumann resonance, which a number of people have heard of, I'm sure.
Yes.
But they also call it the Earth's heartbeat, which is very interesting. And it's fascinating research. And it led to the finding that there is a correlation between the Earth's heartbeat and the brain rhythms of humans. And once we get out of that, it can have, and it's been proven by other research, that actually one professor from the Max Planck Institute he built a bunker underground which blocked out all the magnetic fields, including this heartbeat frequency, and he got young, healthy volunteers to live there for 4 weeks. And during that time, they all suffered from migraines and emotional distress, and even though they were young and healthy, they were really, really much sicker than they should have been. And it was discovered that it's because they were no longer exposed to this frequency from the Earth. And once they were back again, then their health stabilized, which proved the importance of being in harmony with the Earth, which we really take for granted. And in fact, the astronauts, when they were in outer space, as you know, they deteriorated quite a lot because they were away from the Schumann resonance. Well, according to one website I was reading, earthpulse.net, the Russian Space Agency discovered that by placing what they call Schumann wave generators in spacecraft,
yes, that's right,
which mimic the frequency, you know that about,
yep,
I'm sure, the health of the astronauts improved. So it is a very real thing. And all of these bounties that the Earth gives us, apart from all the fruits of the Earth, we take for granted. But without them, we'd be much, much worse off than we are.
So here's a scary way of looking at it, Chrissie. If the Earth is a living organism, for lack of better words, and we are on top of the Earth, would we be considered as parasites on the planet to what we are doing to her? And is this why sometimes there are areas that have these massive disasters, great loss of life, is because that is her way of trying to rid her body of the parasites that we call humans?
Yeah, that comes into... I think we are. I mean, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, I think we are like parasites. I remember one of the early sort of lectures I went to at the Aetherius Society. There was a very fiery speaker at the time. It was probably in the early 1970s. And he said, "We're just germs on the body of a great and mighty goddess." And that always stuck with me, that sentence, and it completely revolutionized my way of thinking. And yeah, it stuck. I think we are. And I think, of course, I also believe that there's a kingdom, Earth, apart from, the trees and the flowers, and obviously we see that. There's also, I believe, a kingdom of nature spirits, or some people call them angels, and so on, who care for nature. And I've actually seen one. I actually have a photograph of one, Rob, when Gary was taking a picture of me out on the patio.
Right.
And he didn't see it at the time, but behind me there was a green... a nature spirit, an energy kind of ball. And I've seen one once before in Northern California, and it looked very similar. So I believe there's a kingdom of nature spirits tending for nature, and they virtually use the energy humanity gives them. I'm coming to the point in a second.
That's
so
right.
What they do, these nature spirits control the weather, they control the oceans and so on. They manipulate this energy, and so disasters can happen because of us, if you like. Because of what we're doing. And I think that the other part of the story is, as you say, the Earth could just flip us from her back if she wanted. She might be more comfortable in that position, and so a little movement from the Earth, can create disasters.
Something that I have never been able to understand, Chrissie, is how people on this planet have not been able to add 1 and 1 together to get 2. For example, we take oil out of the earth. And in my opinion, oil is the blood of the earth. By taking out the blood from the earth, we are causing collapse of tectonic areas, causing earthquakes. How come we still feel that we need to extract the blood from Mother Earth in order to fulfill our own needs when we know for a fact that there's alternative energy available?
I know. Tesla, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The secrets of free energy, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think it's just, why is it, Rob? I think people just don't think, basically. It's what you said earlier, right?
Yep. I agree.
An apathy, unfortunately, or a fear to go deeper, or I don't know what it is. But people need to wake up. It is a time of awakening, but it's up to each person to make that awakening.
Sure, because
it takes courage.
It seems that there are many people within society who suffer from what I call the ostrich syndrome. They would rather keep the head in the ground and their butt in the air and just ignore it like it's not there. Folks, wake up.
Yeah.
The problem will not go away unless we as a collective, in unison with nature, work on these problems. It's not going to happen by itself.
I know. I'm so shocked that there's this threat of nuclear war and people aren't rising up about it. At least in the past, Dr. King used to go out there in the 50s and, ban the bomb and everything. At least we used to do something, and now it's just like, oh, ho-hum, It's like, what's going on? Well, people need to wake up.
I hate to say it, but when I look at what is happening in the neighborhood to the south of Canada, President Trump has good points and bad points, like any other person. No one is perfect. No one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And yet, whenever he wants to point the finger and shake the defensive sword when it comes to North Korea, he's criticized. When he doesn't do anything about it, he's criticized. What in the name of heaven do people want? It's just like all of the people who say, well, there's government conspiracies, there's government cover-ups, Big Brother is watching you. Well, hold on. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Number one. Number two.
Yeah, that's true.
If you look at the global situation, there are men and women right this very second, Chrissie, who are sitting in cockpits of jet interceptors who, at the blink of a button, will put their life on the line to defend democracy and the freedoms that we all enjoy.
Yeah.
So if the government says Area 51 is an excluded zone, and if people need to put the alien hypothesis or the UFO hypothesis or the government conspiracy cover-up hypothesis to satisfy their own quest for knowledge, they're doing it all ass backwards, but go ahead. Freedom of will, free will, go with it. But do not put the rest of the country in harm's way, because you've got to live and let live, for goodness sake. And once again, my biggest argument against all the Big Brother conspiracy theorists, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so true.
Chrissie, the time has come when you and I must say so long for now, my good friend. Please come back and visit us. Congratulations on your new book, Earth, Astrology's Missing Planet. And I look forward to the next time you're with us.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You take care, my friend, and give my best to Gary and Exo Nation. If you'd like to find out more about Chrissie, www.astrologycity.com. That's astrologycity.com. And for information on the Aetherius Society, www.aetherius.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone talking about the elusive Howard Hughes. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com.
Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com.
Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com, or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.